Hey everybody, John here. Welcome back to Catbird Hill. So, a little project that I just finished in about, I think it was under 30 minutes. I think I was 26 minutes. I timed myself doing this. So I've been wanting to do something like this for a while. And I'm going to call this a Firewood Tote. And I built this out of totally scrap material, all free. I guess the only thing I think I paid for at some point in time in the past were these exterior screws, which I had left over. But the pallets that you saw me working with came from somewhere I saw them. You know, some company had put them out and was going to throw them away. And I, typically try to keep some pallets on hand for firewood storage or storing firewood rounds off of the ground before I split them. And this material here, which you saw me installing on the sides, this is actually a white cedar that I was able to get from a waste bin at a fencing company. I think I mentioned this in previous videos. There's a very large fence company that I drive past very frequently, and they have these massive bins at the end of the driveway. And they just throw their cutoff material. It's usually pressure treated lumber, some red cedar and white cedar. Those are the most common products that I see in there. And I took out probably 30 boards of this 1x6 white cedar, and most of these were in the 3 to 4 foot length. And there was nothing wrong with them. Like this one here is perfectly clear. It doesn't even have a knot in it. And then the racking material, or this thin material on the back, is a pressure treated 5/4 material that I think you saw me loading into the firewood pavilion maybe a few videos ago. That came out of the same bin. So all of this was just waste material. So here's my thinking. You guys know that I have the big tool rack, the ultimate rack, which I frequently have on the back of the tractor, or I have the skid steer mount for the front of it. And I use that a lot, and I use that particularly when I'm doing tree work. So if I'm going to be taking a tree down, inside of that rack I have all kinds of straps and rope to pull things, to lift things with the tractor. I've got chainsaws. I put all my safety gear in there, extra bar oil, usually a can of fuel, a set of axes, all the things I would need to do that type of work. And I like to keep those tools, together. I have pruners and different hand saws and all the different things that I would use to do that type of tree work and pruning. So I like to keep that sort of as a dedicated work rack for my big outdoor jobs. I certainly have used it to collect split firewood when I'm splitting, and use it to take those split pieces and put them on the racks to dry for stacking. However, you know this if you work with firewood, when you are handling split pieces of firewood, it's a mess. You get all kinds of small chunks and bark and stuff like that. So after I do that, now I have that ultimate tool rack filled with all this debris, which I have to clean out. Plus I had to empty everything out of it as well. So what I wanted to do was have a dedicated firewood tote that I can place at the end of the splitter, and just as I'm splitting, just push the split pieces right into this, and once it's filled up, I'll take it to the rack. And obviously it's open, it's open, great, the slats here are open, so debris is going to fall through it. It'll be a lot easier to keep clean. Plus, it's made out of just scrap wood, so I can beat it up and so forth. I quickly measured the dimensions on this, and this holds roughly 40 cubic feet of firewood. Now, that would be very carefully stacked and utilizing every space I could in here. I'm not going to do that. This is just going to be split pieces are just going to get thrown in here. But 40 cubic feet is just about a face cord, what's called a face cord, a third of a cord. I know in certain parts of the country firewood people are really big on using face cords. If you use that term here in southeastern Pennsylvania, I can guarantee it, most people will have no idea what you're talking about. But a face cord is a third of a cord. I believe that's 42 square feet or something like that. A full cord is 128. I'm sorry, cubic feet. 42 cubic feet. A whole full cord of firewood is 128 cubic feet. So this will hold about a third of a cord, which is great. And the other thing I like about this is it's narrow. Okay, where I have my racks, I have it at the edge of the property next to a tree line. And even my bucket on the front of the tractor, which is a 72-inch bucket, that gets a little dicey in there sometimes. I'm breaking branches, so this will be a lot narrower. I think it's going to be easier to load and unload. So let's go give it a whirl and see how it works. Well, I think you guys got the idea that I wanted to convey with my scrap firewood tote. And there's a reason why I didn't fill it up. I'll tell you about that in a moment if you can't already guess it. But I really do like this thing. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. It was a great spot at the end of the splitter. I'm probably going to experiment with maneuvering it a couple different places as I continue to split wood and see which place might be the most efficient. This is that cherry that came from a couple of big branches that I had to clean up from a storm a few weeks ago. Absolutely beautiful wood. There we go. Okay, so I did not fill the tote because it was getting pitch black outside, and I don't know if you can tell or not right now, but it's raining. I could hear a little rumble of thunder as I was putting the last few pieces in, and then I thought, you know, we better get close to wrapping things up. So I didn't quite, you know, fill the bin, but I got it maybe 2/3 full. But a nice little jag of firewood there. That's all beautiful black cherry. So as you can see, one of the main reasons I wanted to do this was the narrowness of my alleyway here. Now I do have to do a little bit of pruning of these lower pine branches, but nonetheless, I don't have a lot of room here to get the tractor back, and I'm not going to cut these trees. I love these trees. They provide really nice windbreak for the property. The sawmill's on the other side there behind these branches. But this thing was great. It worked absolutely wonderfully. And, you know, I think for the cost of whatever the screws were that I purchased probably years ago, you know, a couple dozen screws, the rest of it was free. It did an amazing job. And man, it is really raining right now. Let's get under the shade. You never go anywhere without your picaroon. So I'm a little soggy from the rain and also from sweating. Not real hot here today in southeastern Pennsylvania, but the humidity is about 100%, as it has been for a while. And I think this coming week, once this rain comes through, we're supposed to have almost 2 inches of rain over the next 2 days. This is probably the beginning of it now. After this rainstorm comes through, we're going to have mid to high 70s for about a week. And I can't wait. I am so ready for fall and some of those cooler temperatures. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for following along the DIY Firewood Tote. Very simple. I'd offer to provide plans, but I think you guys can probably figure out how I made that pretty simply. So give it a try. You know, I think it's a great tool, particularly in my application, when you have to transport firewood in a narrow area. The bucket of the tractor would just be too wide. This just works absolutely perfect, and really glad I cobbled this thing together. And you know, as I mentioned before, you know, you got all this debris that results from throwing in firewood split pieces. You know, I don't have to clean that out. I'm actually just going to leave this right here. I'll back the tractor out and put everything away and just leave this outside until next time, until it dries out. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, John here from Catbird Hill, getting a little wet. Take care.